I'm here at my Porsche dealership, and my good friend Steven was kind enough to let me accompany him on the delivery of his 911 Dakar. Now, I myself have a 911 Dakar on order. Mine's a little bit later build, so I should be receiving it sometime the end of this year. And you know me with my off-roading background and my love of Porsche, that this is just the perfect car. He gave me the keys to it, so let's go inside and take a look. All right, guys, so this is my first time seeing a 911 Dakar. And first impressions, well, it's pretty much what I expected. It's a 911 with a lift and some cool tires, but there's a lot more features than just that. So the Dakar is based on the GTS 4. So it's a four-wheel drive 911 GTS. And let's start at the front here, and I'll tell you everything that I know about the Dakar. So Steven got it in the shade green color with the optional sticker package. I forget which one this is, but it's like $5,000 and change dollars. So I actually didn't get the sticker package, even though I'll probably do my own kind of sticker thing on it. First thing I'll show you is the hood. It's the exact same hood as the GT3, so all carbon fiber. And then you get these intakes right here. Pretty cool for weight savings. When you look down here at the front bumper, you have this front and rear tow hook. Pretty cool, it's like my Jeep. And then you have these metal skid plates here to protect against rocks and stuff. And you can see it's like slanted up. So it's pretty purpose-built for off-roading, which I really like. Now, every Dakar comes standard with the LED matrix headlights. You know how Porsche is with their options. Well, they basically bundled a bunch of high-end options into one thing and made it kind of standard on the Dakar. So when you buy a Dakar, you're kind of already starting with a bunch of high-end options, like one being the LED matrix headlights. So coming around the side here, this is in the lowered setting, by the way. So you can actually press a button and the car is going to go up a lot. But Steven got it with the white wheels, black brake calipers, carbon fiber mirrors, carbon fiber roof, which, by the way, you can also add the rack with the carbon fiber roof, which will give you the off-road lights, and then you can put all the off-road accessories on it, which I got, or the rooftop tent. You can see you have this plastic wheel well trim, which is pretty cool, and this metal over here to further protect against rocks or whatever else you're going to kick up with these knobby tires. Around the back here, you've got, again, this large plastic bumper, which I think looks pretty cool. It's very rugged, very off-roady. Another tow hook, this fixed spoiler, which is only available on the Dakar, and I quite like it. It reminds me of the old Whaletail 911s. I think it's super cool. And Steven actually got it debadged, so it does not say 911 Dakar. Now, one thing to note about the Dakar, or that I noticed at least, is that in those options that I was talking about, it comes standard with the Sport Design taillight package, which is that gray taillight, so there's no red bar like a standard 911. I think you can only get that red taillight if you get the Rally Design package. It's that blue and white and red or gold Dakar package that's like either 14 or 24 grand. Personally, on a spec like mine, which I got mine all black, I actually would have gotten the red taillight, but it is what it is. So I kind of wish you could have gotten it. So let's go around to the inside. So first impressions, it's pretty standard inside compared to a normal GTS or a GT3. There's not really any differences in the Dakar other than one, you have a button here, which is a lift, which you can lift it, and it has front and rear lift again, which is pretty cool for a 911. Second difference is in the drive mode right here, and this is super cool to see. You have sport, well, you have wet, normal, sport, rally, and then off-road. How cool is that? Off-road mode in a Porsche 911. That is super cool. And then over here, you have the 911 Dakar plaque, and each one is going to have a specific number because the Dakar is a limited edition of 2,500. So this is 0438 of, and this is von, I guess that's of in German, of 2,500. So again, Steven got a pretty early slot. Now, as far as options go, off the top of my head, I know that he got the Burmeister sound system, which is the highest end sound system you can get in this car, which I hear is pretty insane. I've actually never had it in a Porsche, but we'll find out when we drive the car in a few minutes. Then he's got the matte carbon trim on the steering wheel, the dash, center console right here, leather sun visors, the Porsche crest on the armrest console right here, white tack, white sports chrono. And then he went with the 18-way seats. In a car like this that, I mean, at least for somebody like me, who's actually going to be doing a lot of road trips with it and really needs the storage space. And again, in the back here, you have no back seats, just like a GT3. They take them out, so you actually get a lot of storage back there. These 18-ways are super nice because you can fold them all the way up, put a bunch of stuff back there, and they're really comfortable. The bucket seats come standard on the Dakar. You know, I was talking about how the Dakar comes standard with a whole bunch of really nice options, and those carbon buckets are a real expensive option, but the Dakar comes standard with them. The problem with them is that they don't recline at all. I've had them in some previous cars, and they are amazing as far as, you know, a bucket seat goes. They do get a little bit uncomfortable after long drives. So I got them in my Dakar. We'll see if I change my mind. I don't think I'm going to, but I definitely don't hate the comfort seats in this car. I think it's a good choice, and definitely not against it. He also went with the leather steering wheel. I think it comes standard with Alcantara. I also changed mine to leather. And other than that, I think that's it as far as options go. Of course, he's got heated seats because he's got 18-way seats. You can't get that with buckets. But yeah, I mean, compared to a regular 911 or at least a GTS or a GT3 or turbo, pretty standard interior. Definitely wish that they maybe would have done a little something extra to it, even if they had just added more knobs on the steering wheel like they did with the RS, maybe to change the different off-road stuff. Just a little something to differentiate it a bit more from a normal 911, but either way, it is what it is. But it's a 911. The interior is great. What can I say? And where this car is going to shine is off-road. Now, here in South Florida, where I am, can't really show you too much off-road, but we are going to go drive the car. So let's go, and I'll show you my impressions. So a few things I'll note. First of all, this car is brand new, has 21 miles on it, so I can't be too rough with it. It's not my car. And on top of that, we're driving around, well, a very suburban Fort Lauderdale. This car is really meant for dirt roads and rallying, so you're not really gonna see it shine where I'm driving it. It's kind of like driving a GT3 around a neighborhood or a nicely spec'd out Jeep in a parking lot. That being said, I mean, first impressions, first of all, I'll note I have it in sport mode right now, so it is not lifted. Obviously, it's already lifted from a normal 911, but it's not in the full lift. It's a brand new Porsche 911. Like, what do you expect? It's better than pretty much anything else on the road, in my experience. My more recent experience with Porsche is more so in the GT cars. And you can tell right off the bat, this is not a GT3, this is not a GT3 RS, but it's not supposed to be. That being said, I mean, it does everything incredibly. Steering is super tight, the brakes are great, and it sounds pretty good. It's pretty throaty. So one thing that's real cool about this car, coming from somebody like me that's had a lot of sports cars, is, man, it's so cool that you just get to like fly around and not worry about bumps and dips and potholes. You just kind of, I feel like I'm in my Jeep kind of. Again, I can't really go too crazy with this car. It's brand new, but I mean, you can tell it's fast. I wish I was on a dirt road or on a rocky road somewhere out in Utah or Colorado or something, but here we are. Obviously, on a pedestrian road like this, the car is great. Honestly, probably another great use of this car, spec it with 18 ways like this and just use it as a daily. Transmission's great. It's not a GT3 RS, but again, it's not supposed to be. Again, out of respect for Steven, the owner, not really taking it past like 4,000 RPMs. And by the way, it's starting to rain right now, which if we were in a GT3 or something, it would kind of ruin the review, but I feel like this car kind of adds to the review. This car can go through puddles and stuff. This is typically what you can expect for South Florida in the summer, and great for the Dakar. You see that? It just goes right over that pothole. Doesn't even matter. One thing I will note too, and I'm gonna lift the car in a second here, but if you were to like, you know, if I didn't know I was in a Dakar, like, it doesn't feel high up. Certainly doesn't feel like a Jeep or anything. It doesn't feel floaty. Nothing about it feels lifted or floaty or unstable. It feels very, very normal. All right, so We can go here, drive mode, and I guess you could put it in off-road, which isn't really necessary right now. So I'm gonna put it, but now you can see it's actually lifting. So this lift button's on. And now the vehicle is lifted. I'm actually gonna put it back in sport, which I noticed you can keep it in sport and keep it lifted. So it's not like you have to be in off-road mode to have it lifted. And now I'm gonna just drive it lifted just to show you guys. And again, what's really cool right now is the car is lifted, but you don't feel it. It doesn't feel high up. I'm sure, again, if I hopped in a GT3 or something back to back, I would feel it, but everybody complains about this little knobby thing. They say it looks like a shaver. I don't really care. Oh, and this is cool. It has the bird's eye view thing. I got that on mine too, which I think some cars are getting way too techy. Like, I hate the cars that's just a giant iPad that you just can't do anything, like to adjust the volume. But this kind of technology I like. Here comes the rain. There's a wet mode. So I'm in wet mode, and I guess you could still leave it lifted in wet mode. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a brand new Porsche 911. Like, it does everything it's supposed to do dead perfectly. It's the best sports car in the world. What do you really expect me to say? This is just one that's lifted with cool tires on it. Some other off-road stuff. And then for those of you that don't know, to give you a little history on the Dakar, this car actually has some like historical merit to it. So the original Dakar rally, it was basically a rally from Europe to Dakar in Africa, and they changed that location eventually due to like safety concerns or whatever. But basically, car brands would modify their road-going cars to be off-road racers, rally cars, and they would compete. And you know, it was all through the deserts and whatnot. Porsche was obviously one of the brands that competed in it, and they competed with the 911, but they made these like lifted, off-road, kitted out 911s. And they've never made one for the street until now. So this is literally the first rendition of one that you're seeing. Over the past few years, the whole off-road culture, in my opinion, has gotten a lot more popular. I've seen it, you know, whether it just be Jeeps or Toyotas or the new Bronco. You're just seeing a lot more of that off-road culture, and you've even seen some guys that have built 911s to be lifted with these kind of tires and whatnot. And so Porsche, I guess, just said, hey, we're just going to build our own. So I do think that it's really cool that you're able to just kind of buy one from the factory, just all like this with a warranty, and press a button and it goes up, and really cool. If I had to give any drawbacks of the car, number one, I do think it's quite pricey. Like, I just do. It comes standard with all these options that it probably doesn't really need to. I'm a huge fan of full leather. I've had full leather in all my cars. It makes the interior so much nicer. But I mean, if you're actually going to rally this thing and really off-road it and like really dirty it up like I am, I almost would have possibly opted for just the non-leather interior. And then there's just like other little options that like probably weren't totally necessary. So again, I mean, I don't know. I just think it almost would have been cooler if they just made a 911 version that was able to do all this off-road stuff, but it wasn't like that much more than a normal 911. It was just like for the enthusiasts and whatnot that, because again, you know, it's not a GT car, it's not a GT3. It is based off of a GTS4. So that's one thing. I do think it's very pricey for what it is, but hey, what's not pricey these days? Two, I wish that they maybe, especially if they're seeing it in person, kind of confirming my thoughts personally, I wish that they made it like a little bit more intense. Like the new RS I think is super sick. I know it's like maybe not the most practical car for street use, but like how over the top crazy it is, how rough it is, and how the body work is, and there's no trunk, and also, but like it's a GT3 RS, you know, like it's kind of supposed to be like that. This car, I feel like they could have just added little things to it to make it even more off-roady. Like I said, even if they had put like more knobs on the steering wheel like the RS to kind of make it a bit more just special, just something different for like off-road knobs. I don't know, even imagine if like on the sports chrono there, instead of like one chrono, they put like a few gauges popped up, kind of like those old, you know, older Subaru STIs, like that had like the 3 or whatever. I always loved that car. It's kind of fairly basic. It's not really much different than a normal 911 GTS or a GT3 or a turbo or just a nicely spec 911. I mean, other than that, it's really hard to give like a super accurate review of this thing, driving it around in the way that we just did. Like we're on very pedestrian roads and everything is just paved and it's brand new, can't really go too fast. we'll have to check back when I get mine and I get it delivered to California and I start ripping it through Utah and Arizona and all that, because I'm gonna really take it off-road and kind of show you guys what it's all about. And so I think at that point, I'll be able to give you guys a much more in-depth opinion of how capable this car is. There's another one right there. That one does not have the graphics package. And that one's got the buckets on it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my first car review. I love cars, so I definitely plan to do more car-related content on the channel. And again, a huge shout out to my friend Steven for letting me come to the dealership, pick this car up, take it for a drive before he even drove it. And Steven, I hope that you have many miles of excitement in this car, because it is very special. And I'm sure that off the pavement, this thing is just absolutely wild. I'm so excited to get to drive one where it really belongs. And I just think it's really cool that Porsche made this. Despite, you know, what you might think about it, Porsche did make it. It's something you can buy right out of the factory, just like this. And it's super cool. Not really much more to say. So yeah, there you have it. 2023 911 Dakar. Hope you guys enjoyed.